This month, as Vicki mentioned, our theme of the month is organ donor awareness, and I'm pleased once again to grant my good friend Butch Denner privilege of the floor tonight to discuss the important issue of organ donor awareness. I know our wonderful county clerk Nita Postypak is going to join him along with some other guests. You know, I always make mention of this every time we do this every April, that for all those in the room who are happy that I'm here in the legislature and who are unhappy, he's either the reason or to blame for that. So, Butch, with that.
My friends, I'd like to thank the chairman, I'd like to thank the legislature, I'd really like to thank Nettie. She is unbelievable in help. I can't say enough about her. It's been another year. I am 11 years post-transplant. I've been doing this for 10 years. I had very little to do with it. As most of you know, I was working with Levon Helm. I got sick on a movie set with Levon and Steven Seagal. Crack doctors in Kentucky misdiagnosed me with leukemia and tried to kill me. So Seagal didn't want me to die on his movie set, so they airlifted me back to New York. And the great Dr. Book here in Kingston took over, got me on the transplant list at Mount Sinai. 8 years I waited for a transplant. You're gonna see me tear up, because I really care about this. 8 years I waited for a transplant. Sick, sicker, dying. My lovely wife over here, who wasn't my wife yet, but she fell in love with a dying man, was my rock, as was my faith. God was with me all the way. My wife was with me all the way. And after 8 years, and Bruce and Michelle Tuckman putting a prayer in the wall in Jerusalem, I got a transplant. And my wife said that I had life in my face immediately, after having nothing but jaundiced yellow. And I'm alive. And I'm happy, and I try to do as good as I can. I try to give back. I'm in touch with my donor's widow, and she says that even though she lost somebody in order for others to live, it makes her so happy that her Frankie, my donor, lives on in me and the work that I do. So when you think of donating your organs, yes, it's at a very sad time, a time of death, but like what just happened with Rod Carew getting a heart, and the mother of the donor, who he knew when the donor was 11, believe it or not, the mother got to listen to her son's heartbeat inside Rod Carew. So you're really giving life to more than just the donor recipient. You really are. You're giving life to families that you can't believe. My granddaughter is here from California, Allison. I would not have known her. The joy of being a grandfather. My son's here too, of course, Gabe. They flew in today. For all you people who believe in unions, he's a good union man. That's a longshoreman right there. But as we know, a lot of us here have gone through things in our life, in our families, of illness, and the despair you face. Well, let me tell you something. Life is beautiful. Life is good. Today, Nina and I did a open house downstairs at the DMV. 80% of New York State's registrations for donor awareness come through a DMV. And Nita's going to speak about the new law and how it's going to help New York. New York is 50 out of 50 states, lowest in the nation for organ donation. We are the third neediest for organ donation. People die every 15 minutes. Every 22 minutes, people are added to the list. There's 10,000 people in New York waiting for a transplant. You can be a living donor. People here in Kingston, a sister, Tara, gave her other sister, Tiffany, a piece of her liver. The liver regenerated inside of her. You can give kidneys. You can give life while you're still living. You don't have to wait. But there are so many misunderstandings about donor organ donation. The doctors will still care for you up until the very end. The people who harvest your organs are different than the people who take care of your life. We have Shana Kay who's going to speak. She's from New York State. She's the director of the Center for Donation and Transplant, the people that work with the families. So please, I have keychains that'll remind you. I have bookmarks. I have the literature. You have any fears, any misunderstandings, talk to us. I want to introduce everybody's good friend, Krista Cruz, the late Chief Tony Cruz's wife. Tony was a liver transplant, and a lot of people don't realize it, but he did not pass from a liver disease. He passed from a cancer. So his liver transplant gave you, what, another year of life together? God bless you. But like I said, there's many ways of giving while you're alive. Mary Ellen and Dan Roth are here, local people, and Mary Ellen's going to come up and tell her story about kidney transplant and how she's here with us today because of living donors. Please come on up.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Roth, and I'm 5 years with my new kidney. And this is the first time ever. Bear with me, because I'm not used to this. In 1994, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney and liver disease. It's hereditary. My mom was 30 when she passed away from it, and they didn't have dialysis then. They didn't have what they have now. And I thought it was a death sentence. I had a year pity party, and then I moved on with my life. And things really didn't start to get rocky or get rockin' until 2008. I had my first liver kidney surgery. And then it wasn't until 2011 that I actually started to run out of room. So I had a kidney removed, and all within 2011 I had a kidney removed. I went on dialysis. I was lucky. I was only on dialysis for about 6 months. Very lucky, very blessed. But the reason that happened was because I was dating a wonderful man who's now my husband. His first wife passed away from cancer, and there was nothing he could do for her, but he could help me. He did not match me, so he couldn't give to me, but he gave to the pool. And he knew that by just giving up a kidney to the pool, he'd be fine with his one, and that would bump me up on the list. 4 days later, I got the call. I was supposed to go and pick him up and bring him home and take care of him. We were both in Albany Medical Center, and the nurses put us in a honeymoon suite. They were wonderful. So I'm doing great. I mean, there's hiccups all along the way, and that's just part of it. We were fortunate enough to meet Dan's recipient, Laura, who lives in Albany, and she wasn't so lucky to get to be on dialysis. She was very ill. She was just getting ill and more ill and just waiting for a kidney before she thought she would pass. And she's smaller than me, and my husband's 6'3", and she has this turbo kidney in her, and she's doing wonderful. And it's really wonderful that we've got to meet her and get to know her. After that, after the transplant, Dan and I started to plan a wedding. And because of what all transpired, the whole theme of the wedding was donation. Donation bracelets, donation keychains, and the green color, and everything just revolved around it, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. I just want to say that I have PKD, polycystic kidney and liver disease, and that currently is the 4th leading cause of kidney failure. But, you know, obviously there's a lot more reasons that people need donations. And I don't know if anyone's gotten a chance to see the movie Seven with Will Smith, but it's an awesome movie and it should be seen by all. He touched so many lives, and I don't think I could express what's seen in that movie and do it justice, so I would just suggest that you see it. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm doing well, and July's going to be my 6th year. I was one of the lucky ones. I mean, only having 6 months on dialysis, what a blessing. And even then, I was probably the healthiest ones at the dialysis center. I just wanted to end with something that was in today's paper. Knowing I was coming here to talk to you about donation and how important it is, I'm going to read to you what was in today's paper. It says, "Thank you for publishing a recent letter from a person in need of a kidney transplant. Kidney disease does not get the attention it deserves. 31 million people, babies, young children, teenagers, adults, and senior citizens are dealing with this illness. Some aren't even aware that they have the disease until the symptoms appear. There's no cure for kidney failure. On January 6th, my sister died from complications of her kidney failure. Her last 2 years were not quality years. Even dialysis has devastating side effects. She was in and out of the hospital too many times, and she fought long and hard. She leaves behind a young teenage daughter and a husband who stood by her side every step of the way. As her sister, I could not sit by and watch her suffer. I tried everything to find her a living donor. I purchased a billboard where she lived. I posted on Facebook. I put my request on the back window of my car. I did radio, newspaper, and TV interviews on her behalf because my sister and her family were financially, mentally, and physically exhausted. The transplant hospitals do not look for living donors for those in need. This is the responsibility of the family. I will always wonder what else I could have done. Like my sister, some become too sick or die before getting a second chance at life, and my beautiful sister is just a statistic now. There are currently 98,000 people on the kidney transplant waiting list. I know people who are registered organ donors, but this is not enough. Take it one step further and be tested as a living kidney donor. If you don't know where to start, call your local hospital and the centers that it works with. Please don't put this off. There are too many people who are waiting to get the call. And this was in today's Freeman, of all days for me to be reading this. Thank you for all being here and for listening.
Never gets old. It's April. Pretty soon we'll have proms, we'll have graduations, and we'll have car accidents. Unfortunately, that's how we get organs sometimes. And it was a loss because we were not allowed to have younger people become donors. And Nina Posterpak is going to come up. Man, there's nobody better in our government, with all due respect to all y'all, than Nina. I can't tell you enough of how supportive, and the DMV helped sign up people today. Possibly lives were saved today because Nina had the entire department helping. So Nina, come up and speak and know that I love
you. That man is why I'm standing here tonight. He makes me humble. What can I say that Mary Ellen said, that Butch says? My message is really simple. We need, every single one of us, we need to raise awareness for organ donation. That is why our DMV office has teamed up with the New York State Alliance for Donation and DMV offices throughout New York State to raise awareness for organ donation and for April being Organ Donor Month. Butch gave some statistics, but I think it's worth mentioning those statistics again. More than 600 New Yorkers died from causes last year that they could have been treated with if they had a donated organ. 600. 10,000 New Yorkers are currently on the list for organ donation. And in Ulster County, this is a surprising statistic, and this is where we, each and every one of us, can make a difference. In Ulster County, there is 49,304 individuals registered as organ donors. That's only 33% of our whole population. We can make a difference. As Butch said, New York State is the 48th state out of 50 states on the organ donor list, but the third largest state in need of organ donations. So tonight, you have heard that you can make a difference in somebody's life by being an organ donor, but in actuality, you can do much more than that. Tissue donation by one person, now by one person, can impact 50 lives. Organ donation by one person can impact over 8 lives. That's why through the DMV, we are trying to build awareness for organ donation and allow Ulster County residents, us, people like you and me standing here tonight, to register to give the gift of life. Butch mentioned we had an open house today, and that was to encourage people at the DMV to learn more about organ, eye, and tissue donation and the impact it has on New Yorkers. As we know, April's Donate Life Month, but let me tell you, any one of you can walk into our DMV 12 months a year, and when you renew your driver's license or your non-driving ID, you can have that red heart put on your driver's license. It just means checking a box and signing your signature. But even more than that, you can come in and register your vehicle and still have it put on. You do not have to come in to do a driver's license transaction to register for being an organ donor. And Butch brought up another statistic. 80% of people that register through the DMV. So that's why it's so important for us to get that message out. I just want to speak on one other issue, and that's Governor Cuomo signing law in effect, which went in effect February 14th of this year. And that law now allows 16 and 17-year-olds, when they come into the DMV, to do their learner's permit, their non-driving ID, or their driver's license, to sign up to be an organ donor. So what that means is that is a whole new group of enrollees that before were not able to register and would not have been able to register at least for 5 years when they turned 21 or 8 years when their license came up for renewal. That gives them the opportunity to sign up as a 16 or 17-year-old and potentially really affect the registry. So tonight, as we raise awareness for Organ Donor Month, I'm inspired by Butch Denner, as I hope each and every one of you are inspired by him. He is a miracle of life among us. Is one of the most selfless acts an individual can ever do is to become an organ donor. Know by that act that you have made someone's life, the difference in someone's life, but know more that you have saved a life. Thank you for getting that simple message out. Please tonight, if you walk away with one thing, tell somebody, come into the DMV and register to be an organ donor. Thank you so much.
Nobody better, right? It's awareness. Not only do I want you to sign up, it may be 100 years before we need your organs, please. I'm in no rush. Well, there's a few people I'm in a rush for, but most of them aren't here. But, no, not you, Hector, I love you. But it's awareness. It's not just you folks who I gave the card to tonight said, I'm already a donor. Thank you. Thank God that you're a donor. Please tell the person next to you, please tell your family that you want to be a donor, because sometimes families fight the wishes of the donor, and that hurts the process. And Mary Ellen was talking about the wait. You know, the wait is a desperate time. I had faith. My wife had more faith than I did, but my faith got me through it, and it was a long 8 years. Benedictine, emergency room, and I were very good friends. So when you get the gift of life and you have your health, I have some problems, the side effects of the anti-rejection meds, but it's a walk in the park compared to what I was facing. My granddaughter told me she wants to speak, but before she speaks, our good friend Shana Kay is here. Shana is the director of services for the New York State Center of Donation and Transplant. Before I met Shana and the organization, I used to beg, borrow, and steal the keychains and the other trinkets I have here. And if anybody didn't get a keychain or a bracelet, I got plenty. But now with the help from the Center for Donation and Transplant, it makes it much easier. Shana's going to come here and talk about whatever she talks about. It's wonderful, believe me. So, Shana.
Too long. Turn the mic down a little bit. Because everybody else has already shared such wonderful stories, but like Butch said, my name is Shana and I work for the Center for Donation and Transplant. So we are the organ procurement organization that actually works with the hospitals to facilitate organ and tissue donation. So we cover this area. We cover 30 counties in upstate New York and western Vermont and serve about 2.7 million people. But one of the other amazing things that we get a chance to do is work with volunteers to help educate the community, to partner with the county clerks and the DMVs and the legislators and community organizations to raise awareness and support the people who have made that decision and celebrate the gift of life. To me, it's really, donation is about a celebration of life, about leaving a legacy once you pass on that allows your loved ones to celebrate your life, to honor your life, and allow somebody to keep living. So any questions, anything that you might have, any worries that you might have, we're here to educate the community, to facilitate donation transplantation. Last year, because people said yes to donation, either by registering to be donors or by their family consenting on their behalf, 160 people received the gift of life in our service area alone. So that's 160 families that get to celebrate more birthdays. And we had 60 organ donors. So 60 organ donors helped 160 people facilitate and give the gift of life. So imagine what we could do if more people signed up and more people made that decision before their family was burdened with the choice of having to make that decision. So thank you so much for all of your support. The last quick thing, I definitely want you to go in and see Nina to register to be an organ and tissue donor if you haven't already. But on the off chance that you don't make it into the DMV, there are other ways that you can register to be a donor if that's something that you want to do. You can register when you register to vote on your voter registration form. New York State is working up the ranks in terms of how many donors are registered, but we are the first state to have that opportunity to register on the voter registration form on the Donor Life Registry. The other places you can register are in person at a community event. So Butch has probably handed out those handy-dandy donor registry cards. You can fill those out, and that's the same exact registry. You can also register on the Health Insurance Exchange here in New York State. So that's a new law as of 2017. And you can register online too. So lots of different opportunities, lots of different ways to start the conversation, and lots of different ways to save lives. So thank you so much.
I know it's a full agenda, and I appreciate the privilege of the floor. But as a grandfather, I told my granddaughter I'd never say no. So Allison, if you'll indulge me, she would like to make a speech. And she flew 3,000 miles. So.
We gather here today to honor Butch Denner and the Donate Life organization. It saved his life, and if it weren't for the Donate Life organization, he wouldn't be alive. Thank you so much, Donate Life organization.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. God bless you, and may it be 100 years before we need them, and by then we'll be growing them in a 3D machine anyway. So thank you.
Thank you, Butch. Don't go too far. At this time, I'd like to call up legislators Craig Lopez and Chris Allen, the chair and deputy chair of the Public Health Committee, to make a presentation to Mr. Denner.
All right, thanks much for coming out. I know you've been doing this for many years. It predates my time here in the legislature. I have no doubt that you'll be coming here and sharing your story for many, many years to come. So, thank you so much for your dedication and the awareness that you promote. It's touched the lives of many, and we really look forward to you, keep plugging along, staying healthy, and being able to share your story, in the future. And I always, I want to thank you too for always bringing out, other folks to share their story as well. Everybody has a different message, but all the same message at the same time. So, I really appreciate that, and thanks so much. And now, on behalf of the Ulster County Legislature, I'd like to present you with an Ulster County Legislature Legislative Chamber proclamation. It says, whereas giving life to another by donating an organ or tissue transplant is one of the most selfless human acts that can provide the donor quite inner fulfillment in the knowledge that he or she may one day help save a life, bringing joy and hope to another person and their family who depend on the generosity and sacrifice of others. And whereas the Ulster County Legislature, Ulster County, 30% of all residents 16 and older have joined the New York State Donate Life Registry statewide, 25%, and nationally 52% of the people are registered organ donors. And whereas a person who donates organs, hearts, lungs, livers, kidneys, pancreases, and intestines can save up to 8 lives. A tissue donor, cornea, bone, skin, heart valves, tendons, veins, etc., can improve 12 or more lives by restoring eyesight, fight infection in burn patients, and preventing the loss of mobility and disability. And whereas thanks to the Lawrence Law legislation and new legislation allowing New York State drivers 16 and older to declare if they wish to become an organ donor on their driver's license application instead of opting out by default. And whereas organ transplants in the United States reached a milestone in 2015 exceeding 30,000 for the first time, and nearly 5% more than performed in 2014. And whereas this landmark achievement is a testament to the generosity of the American public to help others through donation and their trust in the transplant system to honor their life-saving gift. And whereas we recognize that our greatest ambassadors for organ and tissue donations are donors, recipients, and families, which is why we honor guests, why our honored guests are here tonight to motivate and inspire others to become donors. Now, therefore, I, Kenneth J. Roth Jr., Chairman of the Ulster County Legislature, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Ulster County Donor Awareness Month.
If you all don't mind, I'd like to present this to Mary Ellen and her husband, because I've been here before, but I know the guts it took to get here, girls, so thank you. I will bring this over to you. And before I leave, tomorrow is the anniversary of the passing of my friend Levon Helm, who's a friend to everybody in this room. I'm wearing the last waltz tie in his memory, so please play his music tomorrow and think of the boss. God bless you all.